building an identity for themselves. We are going to have a look at RNG first up, a team that is definitely at the refinement stage.
And it just comes back to this idea that every single one of RNG's pieces are probably in the top 5, if not the top 3, or the top position in their position within the LPL, which makes them incredibly versatile and incredibly dangerous. They already proved to the world at MSI that they are an elite team in the LPL. Everyone's been looking at EDG, you know, this is the premier team of the LPL, and RNG just kind of slipped in there, unsuspecting, and kind of assumed this throne and this dynasty as the Starhorn Royal Club, the Royal Never Gives Up, whatever iteration. They've been reunited with Uzi, and they seem destined for greatness.
Yeah, and you can see there as well. I mean, the kill participation numbers are just ridiculous. 81% for Mlxg, also for the bottom lane at the same time. Uzi and Mata both picking up that huge number. Feels like there's this super solid backbone. And it just gives Looper and xiaohu the ability to do basically whatever they want.
And there was a question if picking up Uzi would fundamentally change RNG. You can kind of see that in the kill participation, but frankly, it doesn't appear that way on the Rift. They still look just as threatening everywhere.
They most certainly do. Whereas, on the other side of the Rift, this is an LGD that has found some difficulties, but yes, ladies and gentlemen, that is not a mistake. PYL is back on the roster for this time around. Of course, we didn't see him in the summer split so far. And thankfully, he's back here to take on, honestly, the juggernauts that are RNG.
It now is a question of what type of form will PYL be in coming back into the squad, and if he's able to give them direction. Now remember, PYL has always been the shot caller, has always been the captain of LGD, and frankly, they've looked without direction since the start of summer split.
Yeah, that's very true. And if you have a look at these sort of matchups here, your eyes are drawn to the top and bottom sides, honestly. I mean, you've got a very smiley PYL there with Imp. And this matchup, Imp and PYL versus Mata and Uzi, has to be like the Korean powerhouses and the Chinese powerhouses of each role, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or at least as far as history is concerned.
You have effectively two very cerebral, controlling supports who are big playmakers known for a very similar champion pool in Mata and PYL. I mean, we often joke that PYL was kind of the Chinese Mata before Mata was even in the region. And then you have two incredibly aggressive staples of the AD, probably the best mechanical AD carries to ever play the game in Uzi and Imp. I'm like thinking back, like, does anyone even challenge them on mechanics? And I don't even think you can say that Wei Xiao was better at them in just their raw mechanical ability.
Yeah, and it's just going to be ridiculous to look at it. This is why we're hoping for standard lanes, ladies and gentlemen. That is the thing. We need to make sure that we get to see this 2v2 in action. And I'm just hoping that they have this ban on junglers as well. It's like, well, we know that Amy's probably not going to be down there, but Mlxg just don't head down towards the bottom side of the map, and we just want to see them go off.
That's the issue, though, is that we know that, okay, so the bottom lane looks explosive. That's amazing. Everyone wants to see the 2v2. Everyone wants to see Mata, PYL, and Imp and Uzi just duke it out, just slugfest. MaRin versus Looper. Looper's in incredible form. Hopefully MaRin is able... like
Battle of the world champions, right?
Exactly. Even when MaRin is... not like on the losing team, his Ekko still looked phenomenal for LGD last week. He was still performing well. Punished, you're on a wave clear control mage. You're probably just going to neutralize the lane. Hopefully xiaohu doesn't go off on a pick like LeBlanc and try to look for the counter pick.
Yeah.
But Eimy versus Mlxg.
This is where the problems lie.
That is the terrifying matchup for LGD fans. So we expect to see a lot of jungle bans, and so far we've got 2 of them.
Yeah, we certainly do. Swain and Rek'Sai actually are what RNG have so far taken away, as Kindred and Nidalee have both been removed by LGD. So that's 3 out of 4 so far. I reckon you're onto something here, Frosco.
Other bans to look out for. We'll see if the Vladimir does hit the board. We've seen a lot of teams run away with success, particularly Zatai the other night on it, and as we say that.
Yeah, Swain and Vladimir both banned away here from RNG, as Ryze is, of course, the final ban here. 6.10 seems to be Swain, Vlad, and Ryze. Just don't let them through. That is silly. Don't do that. It's a bad idea. But it does mean that things like Bard, things like Azir, lots of picks are still available. Trundle also still there. The top lane pool has not been touched.
So, and that's the really curious thing. So we talked about how mid lane has just become this very neutralizing position. So Viktor and Azir are still available. I suspect that Punish will go towards that Viktor as an answer to Azir, although we have seen the LPL kind of introducing things like Xerath, like Varus to try to mix up that champion pool. But to prioritize just your most basic wave clear mid laner as opposed to getting that Ekko, maybe the Lucian or the Ezreal priority pick, priority something from the jungle pool that's now been limited to effectively Gragas and Elise is very curious.
Yeah, there's also, like you mentioned, the AD carry position, and I mean, Ezreal and Lucian both available, probably why they're happy to let both of them through. Seem to be sort of the top tier at the moment. It's Eimy looking at what was a comfort pick for the man quite some time ago in the Gragas, and Karma has already been locked in here for PYL.
And Karma's really started to become kind of the staple S-tier support, obviously with the nerfing adjustments to movement speed, the removal of alacrity boots and things like that. Karma becomes much higher of a priority due to her ability to augment that. She also means that Sivir is less of a priority because Karma is going to do Sivir's job for her, which then opens up picks like Lucian, like Ezreal to be that much stronger.
Well, if we have a look at RNG's draft right now, Trundle and Lucian just being locked in alongside that Azir, this is already looking like a terrifying team comp, no matter what they want to do with it.
We'll see if the Trundle is still being used as a flex pick here. It's very hard to pick a melee support like Trundle into Karma just because she's going to abuse him with her range. That said, in the LPL, it's much more common to see the Trundle top lane. It does eliminate some matchups there, but I don't think MaRin will be one to back off either way.
Of course, Swain seems to be one that people like to pick into the Trundle. Fizz is, I guess, another option. Do we think that MaRin might be heading towards something like that?
I mean, he's shown it before. They're apparently leaving him for last pick.
Yeah, giving him the priority there as Viktor and Ezreal are currently being looked at by LGD for the AD carry in mid lane.
No surprise to see Punish go towards the Viktor. He's actually performed quite well on it.
Yeah.
I myself am fairly high on Punish. I don't think he's as much of a liability as someone like you was previously for the LGD roster. He doesn't have the carry potential or playmaking ability of, say, Wayless, but particularly his Twisted Fate and his Viktor are very strong.
Very true. You can see Uzi cycling through some supports here for Mata, who just can't be bothered doing it himself for some reason. I have a feeling he possibly could if he wanted to, as Elise is being looked at for Mlxg, sort of the other sort of A-tier jungler, you could say, that is still on the board.
More importantly, though, with that Bard getting locked in.
Yes, PYL's back. We've got Talon Hovers again.
That is terrifying, though. So that is a Lucian Bard lane for probably one of the most aggressive and oppressive bot lanes in the LPL against the likes of Ezreal and Karma. Again, I hope there's not a lane swap. I know that both these AD carries really like the mentality of proving that they are superior in the 2v2, so I would like to see them go heads up, but
in that matchup, I mean, is that even fair? That's Lucian Bard. This is so scary.
Well, Karma Ezreal will be fine, at least level 1, because of the reach with the Mystic Shot as well as the Karma Q. So you still got a lot of poke there. It's more of like the levels 2 through 5 where things get really scary, as well as the initial back for Ezreal.
Well, we'll see exactly how it goes. 11 seconds to go here as MaRin's just having a bit of a giggle. Finally, we have a serious look at Ekko for the top side of the map. We'll see exactly what is going to be locked in here, and it is. So MaRin going to take the Ekko into the Trundle towards the top side of the map. We've seen this matchup go a couple of different ways.
Yeah, more importantly, though, it's just to understand how good MaRin's Ekko is. I almost don't even care what the matchup is, because this guy, I think he's the best Ekko in the LPL, at least in terms of the top laners right now. Again, when LGD were losing games, he was still hitting massive ultimates, game-changing parallel convergences. Yeah. Unfortunately, it didn't mean any victory for his team, but wasn't necessarily his fault.
Definitely able to get massive amounts of stuns, getting the work done there on the Ekko, and we'll see whether he's going to be able to do it this time around, as it's going to be into Lupa's Trundle. We'll see whether they play it towards this more split-pushing style and just have wave clear everywhere else. They do have a fair bit of it if they need it, coming out of the Azir mostly, but Uzi in a pinch at the same time with that culling.
Typically what RNG like to do is to isolate all of their lanes and just open up space for Mlxg to contest the enemy jungler, as opposed to just repeat ganking his lanes. Mlxg has confidence that his laners will just naturally and organically win their lanes through amassing CS leads or 1v1 solo kills. Across from the talent on LGD, though, it's now a question of can they show up, or will Mlxg just really start to punish Eimy?
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult, but the coaches are going to shake hands. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get into game number 1 of day 2. Thank you very much, Uzi, and we certainly do. As we are on to Summoner's Rift for game number 1, RNG taking on LGD. So we take a sweet pan up to the LGD camp. We'll see whether they can actually get the work done. I mean, now, PYL back on the roster. Do you think this means more clean play from LGD? Do you think he's going to be able to take the reins back here in the first game?
Theoretically, it should. Again, captain, shot caller returning to the team. PYL was always thought of kind of like the maestro to LGD's success when they were known as a very cerebral-oriented team. It's funny. If you go back far enough in both of these organizations' identities, RNG have always been, you know, back when they were Royal Club or Starhorn Royal Club, have always been like the brute force team, the one that relies just strictly on their mechanics to outperform people. And LGD were often considered like the really smart team that had to compensate for their lack of physical brute to beat people around the map. And now it's almost completely reversed, although RNG are just now kind of that dual threat, terrifying force.
Yeah, sort of all of the things is what you have to fear from RNG.
But we did have an initiated lane swap that will be blind and matched. So we're going to have the standard Australian lanes, which is just upside down, your 2v2 top side. Did you get it as the Australian?
Yeah, I did. Okay,
perfect.
I mean, the blood was rushing to my head, of course, but it was otherwise okay here as RNG are actually going to get a bit of a loop onto PYL. And Imp right now, a little bit late, because this is blind. Everyone just moving towards the top side. It's all going to be fine. Little Sentinel's going to be taken.
Naturally, this is important because it means that they'll have the experience, but a bit of an EDG maneuver here from RNG. Will they find the Cosmic Binding?
Oh, they do, but Imp not going to get stunned into the wall there as Mata slowed down by the Q out of PYL, already taking a lot of damage, and Uzi now has to take care of his support.
Yeah, and an excellent heads-up play from LGD to just use the available skills to make sure that they're not caught out by Fog of War and really punish for Bard and Lucian's level 1.
Yeah, and you can see already chugging through the potions is Mata, so LGD are zoned a little bit right now, as Uzi does have control of this creep wave, as he generally does.
But as soon as that Cosmic Binding goes down, naturally Mata will still have the Meep Slap as that starts charging out throughout the lane. But there we go. That was the terrifying maneuver. The race to level 2 because Uzi and Mata got control of the creep wave. Now means that Imp and PYL, they're pretty much resorted to poking and can no longer look for extended trades in this 2v2.
Well, I think took a piercing light there as well as Mlxg very early to the bottom side of the map as does already have a red buff, doesn't throw the cocoon just yet. Flashes for it there as Loop is going to flash forward as well. MaRin is going to get taken down for first blood, and this happens every game for Oscar.
Every game for LGD. MaRin is consistently camped, and Eimy is nowhere to be found actually on the top side of the map, so there is zero response that LGD have. Something that we should examine is kind of where the gank opportunities are. So the difference between Elise and Gragas, obviously they can both bring CC, although I'm going to give Elise more of kind of a ganking-oriented identity rather than Gragas.
Yeah.
He's going to be more like tank, more 5v5 power. And Mlxg is just really abusing that. He just has more options to gank. He's got kill threat in the bottom lane, he's got kill threat in the mid lane, he's got kill threat in the top lane. Whereas I feel like Eimy pretty much has kill threat exclusively in top, and top's now been put behind.
Well, you can see actually it was LGD able to take some control back here in this lane as Uzi and Mata had to move back. A couple of creeps were lost, but still very even on that CS margin, despite the fact that there are a lot more creeps here for Uzi to pick up. Level 3 finally being gained. It feels like every level's important for this lane. Nice stun comes in from Mata, but he's rather low. There's the move forward from Imp. Gets exhausted there as he uses the Relentless Pursuit, but it all could have been a bait as Mlxg is going to make his way in. Imp gets a shield. PYL is able to save his AD carry for now. The Ignite did go down.
More summoners traded on the side of LGD, however. The only summoner left available is going to be Imp's heal, whereas Uzi and Mata still have their flash available.
Yeah, and Mlxg is still here, just helping clear out this creep wave. You can see Uzi now 4 CS in the lead.
Meanwhile, bottom, since Eimy knows where Mlxg is, he's going to try to make something happen on the bottom side of the map.
Yeah, but actually just pinged away there as you can see the vision available. He's going to be backing in the brush. Loop up. Doesn't want any of it. Is punished. Taking some damage here from xiaohu, the Emperor of Shurima himself in the mid lane. His Azir, of course, definitely a comfort pick as Mlxg is back again. No flash to be available here as the cocoon is going to land. The flashes from everyone! And PYL's going to fall down. And come on, man, the gentleman's agreement. Wanted to see the 1v1, but no, RNG already 2-0.
And again, it's going back to those summoner spells. The fact that LGD threw away everything, only had the heal left and available, meant that Mlxg could look for repeat ganks. And then the kill pressure. There's hard CC available in every single one of his lanes, whereas LGD only have the CC on their jungler. Now a dive.
Yeah, Imp is just going to get taken down. Mlxg doesn't even have to repel to avoid that one. You can see Imp just resigned on your screen right now, and Mata, as always, yelling directions.
And the initial trade for LGD is Eimy having time on the bottom side of the map to secure a Scuttle Crab, so jungle control. But this is the consistent problem with LGD, is that their jungler is never in position to keep up.
Yeah, and already Mlxg has won 2 lanes.
And the middle one is naturally winning.
Yeah. xiaohu having an absolutely fine time. And look, you've mentioned this time and time again. Control Mage off in the mid lane is just going to be that. It's just going to be Control Mages clearing out minion waves one after the other. Probably nothing too crazy. But we are going to have a bit of a switch back here as MaRin is going to enter the top lane.
It will be matched, however, by Looper. So now both teams moving their superior control in terms of numbers towards that dragon. It is going to be a Cloud Drake. In the past, we've actually seen some LPL teams completely disregard dragon, especially if they want to elongate lane phase. RNG are known to do this.
We'll see whether they do. Of course, a lot of teams have just been ignoring that particular part of the map, as Uzi's got a BF sword, of course. When you go back with 1,300 gold, I mean, it's likely you're going to pick it up, but doesn't decide to go for the serrated Dirk, and we've still been seeing a lot of these Essence Reavers for the Lucians.
Well, the thing is yeah, you can still... Okay, so typically when you go for that Ghost Blade Black Cleaver build, you're prioritizing CDR because it's going to also translate into safety for Lucian because you get more relentless pursuits. It's usually against a very tanky team, which if you look across from LGD, they have a lot of artificial tankiness, but no like Maokai or Scion or something in your face.
Yep.
And then B, he's not really assisting that many people on his team. It's not like he has a Kindred or Graves jungle. He's pretty much got a Trundle top.
He does. As we did see a Chaos Storm go down there in the mid lane, Punish just trying to get rid of xiaohu. But we'll see exactly what Uzi is going to pick up. Of course, probably just going to be what was the standard build. Unless he just wants a BF sword and then decides to go into the Ghost Blade after that, of course. Very interesting to see. Anyway, level 6 soon to be hit here as he dives forward as soon as it happens.
Should note that Eimy is level 6.
Yeah, this could be a problem as Imp is going to be able to pick up the kill there. Eimy, right place, right time this time. And Imp has been giggling this entire game. And that time, for good reason.
Gets to be the primary benefactor. That said, it's still an Ezreal with tier. Now he's got about 300 gold back to his name, but still competing across from Lucian's BF sword. So the power dynamic in the lane shouldn't change that much, unless Eimy wants to continue to abuse the fact that Mata does not have flash.
And speaking of being abused, Eimy going to lose his red buff here for being on the bottom side of the map, but MaRin's going to make his way around. There's the cocoon as Mlxg should be able to escape here. Parallel Convergence is going to come in as there is going to be a pillar, and that's going to serve as disengage for Mlxg to get out of there.
So that was the trade, Mata's life for the red buff. I think Mlxg is pretty happy with that one. See if Mata is sitting in the same boat as Uzi's now looking for a 2v1. Here comes Mata from the side.
Yeah, there's the culling. POL is able to stun him up in time as Uzi, relatively low, will be able to eat himself some cocoa, or drink it.
Fortunately for LGD, Mata did not have Tempered Fate available, does now.
They're just going to meep slap POL a little bit as the Thunderlord's proc, as Mata, now with the Sightstone, is going to have a little bit more health to his name, which is definitely a good idea if that Gragas decides to come back.
But he doesn't actually have any pots right there. So I find it... I'm assuming he's waiting for Uzi to get in a back, like maybe it's 1 or 2 waves, and so he's just being initially aggressive knowing that he's going to back soon, because typically you wouldn't trade so aggressively with the 80 carry unless you had more pots, you had more health to expend.
Yeah. You can see as well, Looper is just being super aggressive here towards the top side of the map. Understands that he managed to pick up that early lead, and he's utilizing it super well, as Uzi is also farming like an absolute beast right now. I haven't seen him miss a CS.
And we talked about this, how RNG's laners, you know, even across from the likes of Imp and MaRin, just organically win their lanes through CS leads, through 1v1 outplays. Imp, it's not as bad as it seems on the bottom side, simply because that single kill, you know, plus about 15 CS in terms of like his gold value.
But still probably behind on that gold as Eimy once again looking to try and add some favor here towards the bottom side. Mlxg is lurking in the area, but RNG not pushing up too far, not playing too aggressively. Now Mlxg may actually find Eimy.
Unfortunately, he doesn't have his
Imp, he
smite.
takes so much damage. Look at that Cosmic Binding as Uzi and Mata pick up the 2v2 kill.
I'm busy looking at Mlxg heading towards Wolfcamp. It's like, there's no way that Ezreal and Karma will die. They're such a safe lane. It's Mata and Uzi, and now it may be one more.
Ridiculous. Volatile Spiderling, lots of damage here as there's the flash. PYL in trouble as the exhaust comes down. Tempered Fate is going to save Uzi for now, but the teleport's coming in was cancelled as there's a 1-for-1 kill underneath the turret. Mlxg is going to fall as he flashes, so may not. And Punish running after him. The Emperor's Divide just to stop Eimy from finding his way in there. As the Shifting Sands is going to get xiaohu out. Mata needs mana for the Magical Journey. Decides that he has to flash. He's going to head back to base. So loses the AD carry, but traded for PYL.
Yeah, 1-for-1 in the end. Of course, where these kills are being distributed is different and does mean something, but a lot more actually expended from RNG in terms of your summoner spell usage.
Yeah.
Although there is now a TP discrepancy for RNG, so we'll see if they're able to execute on that and if Looper can make a play cross-map. It pretty much means that LGD's bot lane cannot play aggressively right now because it is a numbers advantage.
It's also going to be Manamune against the Essence Reaver here as well, so Uzi managing to complete that fully at 10 minutes into the game is pretty gross, to be frank, as Mata going to miss that Cosmic Binding. PYL winning that trade, but the level advantage there for Mata means that he's going to be okay.
That's what we really came here for. It wasn't about the AD carry fights. It's about the support battle.
We know about this. Once again, Uzi back in the lane, getting agricultural. Standard Uzi things. Pink Ward in the back pocket as well. 4 Pink Wards actually sitting in the inventory of RNG.
But this is also why RNG really like to elongate their lane phase, especially with the addition to Uzi. Again, he's going to naturally win his lane phase. He's going to maximize his gold efficiency that he's going to get from lane phase, pretty much better than any other AD carry. So just don't do anything. Don't take the towers. Don't force a dragon. Just let him farm and go to your jungle and pick up free kills.
Yeah, the onus is almost always on the enemy team to make something happen, which is arguably what makes RNG so terrifying.
It's a very interesting style from them right now, and I think it suits well to 6.10, especially in kind of a control mage meta. But looks like we may be setting up for another dive. Again, there is a TP advantage to Looper, so this is why RNG are being so progressive on this side of the map, knowing that it's a 4v5 at best.
Well, Mlxg did have to take the blue buff there, as Eimy was lurking with a smite available. xiaohu wanted to grab it, but wasn't able to. And Uzi is going to once again make his way towards this bottom side. Cosmic Binding again going to go a little bit wide, but there's no Gragas to follow up on anything that this bottom lane is going to offer. As the Mantra Q is going to go wide. Piercing Light still doing dumb damage here on 6.10. 6.11 changed just a little bit as Relentless Pursuit comes out, but Uzi's not going to be able to find too much joy.
And with sidestepping so many of those skill shots finally tagged at the very end by a single Mystic shot, but just watching how Uzi walks around and maneuvers in a lane and where he trades his cooldowns is beautiful to watch, as Mlxg will finally pull the trigger on the Cloud Drake. Fairly late, actually, for LPL average, but we'll see what we get next.
Yeah, precisely. He's going to go down. We are going to see. It's going to be another Cloud Drake.
And nobody is lucky.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. I just swear Cloud Drakes are just more popular, just in general, as Mata right up in the face of Imp as the culling comes down. Uzi not going to find too much more as Mlxg dodges away from the Mystic Shot. Tempered Fate flashed out of the way up there, but PYL singled out and destroyed as Uzi picks up the kill. Wants to actually continue on and grab Imp, but he's used the flash and the heal. And Uzi's going to be able to avoid turret death by taking that Magical Journey. RNG just all over this game.
And it was really well communicated, not only in the dive, but also in xiaohu. xiaohu actually walked into Fog of War and was standing very aggressively on the bottom side of the map, making sure that Punish and Eimy weren't making their way down to the bottom side. So it wasn't just the jungler in the bot lane performing for RNG, but also their mid laner across map helping them out.
Just orchestrated all the way around, as xiaohu did walk over a ward, but they were able to secure that blue buff, and xiaohu now going to be able to clear up all of these creeps underneath this turret. Does have himself a Nash's Tooth completed, as well as that Null Magic Mantle, probably going towards an Abyssal Scepter at some point. We'll see when he decides to pick it up, whether he wants to go Rylai's next.
But finally, at 154 CS, the bottom lane is broken, is now
Oh,
PYL.
yeah, in a lot of trouble. Has to flash. Does get a decent possible snare off, as xiaohu not going to be able to pick up the kill. And now just trying to protect his pink ward. Not sure whether he's going to be able to, but vision available from LGD should be able to help them. Oh, the fact that Sand Soldiers can kill wards is just silly.
The fact that he just 2v1'd is pretty silly.
Yeah, true, but xiaohu is actually going to get stunned here. Takes the magical journey, gets himself out. Mata helping his teammate.
Bit of a misclick.
Yeah, just a little.
Shurima shuffled back into the gravitational field for the stun. But with all of the resources clear, that means that Looper is free to be so aggressive.
He's such a singed player, I swear to God.
It's because he knows exactly where Eimy is. So he knows that no one is coming to help MaRin, and this CS, or this advantage has turned into a massive CS lead for Looper, 160 to 108 right now, and the rest of RNG are now pulling the trigger, saying we have complete control of the top side of the map. We can start to abuse Amy's jungle as well.
Well, they certainly are here as Mlxg and Mata, the best friends club that we saw at MSI, do so incredibly well. Wandering around, Uzi now making some room in the mid lane, but xiaohu going to make his way back. Uzi going to continue farming, and we'll see what he's going to be able to get up to there towards the bottom side of the map, as Looper does have Subjugate available. MaRin not with a whole lot of mana.
LGD are trying to sneak into the back of MaRin's lane. They're waiting for RNG to pull the trigger on a dive and try to beat them with the tower. But I feel like RNG have a good heads up of what is happening and are disengaging appropriately.
Most certainly. As we can see, it's actually, it looks like Uzi's going to be building that Phantom Dancer as item number 2. Like it a lot. Lots of dueling possibilities. As
And
MaRin
that's
heading back to base.
the big primary difference between the Ghostblade Black Cleaver build and the traditional AD carry build is how much crit you're bringing and how much late game damage that will mean.
That was so cute from Mata. Puts down a magical journey just to scare people. It's like the old Thresh Lantern tactic.
But much longer.
Yeah. And much more intimidating. Look at how magical that thing is. As RNG have started off the Rift Herald. Mata probably doesn't want to be tanking it, but Mlxg doesn't look like he's too keen either, as they can't really juggle this one too much. Teleport's actually going to be used here as LGD want to make a fight out of this. Looper throws down the pillar as xiaohu takes a long ride on a soldier and gets himself to safety. Uzi says, our team. Yeah, I'm going to move back though, as the Culling going to zone him from the creep wave.
Big thing though is the fact that MaRin doesn't have TP right now, so trying to make a play happen and unfortunately not able to catch the slippery Uzi.
Yeah, Uzi really wanted that cannon creep too. Thankfully did manage to get it. Continuing that phenomenal CS that you can see. 187 at 17 minutes.
This now means that LGD are put again at a TP and map disadvantage because Looper has the cooldown, MaRin doesn't, and they've also lost control of their side lane. So LGD, for the next 5 minutes, are about to get ripped around their map, RNG in complete control.
Yeah. And there's also the fact that they had so much control here on the bottom side of the map, meant that they could grab themselves that blue buff, as well as continue that pressure towards the inner turret on the bottom side of the map. Map just getting smaller and smaller here for LGD as xiaohu looking to try and take down this outer turret in the mid lane. Mata gets himself to safety here. The wave clear is going to finally arrive, but that's so much damage on the inner turret.
The only bright spot for LGD right now is in the top side, getting a lot of chip damage on the top tier tower and trying to get very aggressive since they know where everyone is. So Imp and PYL trying to be the playmakers that LGD need.
Yeah, thankfully, Looper was there for RNG to take down that creep wave, but is now backed off, finishes off the Ravenous Hydra, so going to add a lot more wave clear to his build, as well as that sustainability. As RNG, it just looks like they're so calm, just happy for LGD to make the moves, and RNG are just happy to organically win.
Now going to contest this red buff. RNG just 2 steps ahead of LGD right now, and it will be smited away by Mlxg.
Yeah, Mantrid Q is going to come in, but Mlxg gets himself out. Does have the aid of the magical journey as MaRin very sticky now on this Ekko. Does have his Iceborne Gauntlet completed as Mlxg might need to use the Repel. Doesn't actually have it available as MaRin takes him down. But now Uzi looking, but MaRin is going to be able to pick it up with the culling. The ultimate had already been used, of course, as Looper now just zoning the members of LGD away. It's a 1-for-1 in the end. MaRin for Mlxg.
MaRin's still looking great on this Ekko pick. He effectively ran in 1v3, really understanding the power and the repositioning that that character provides as Chaos Storm goes down to try to save this tower, but it's effectively a stiff breeze before going down. Great play by MaRin. In the end, it doesn't mean as much in terms of trading objectives.
Yeah, a little bit unfortunate. But still, able to get something on the board there, and he needs all the gold that he can get as he's still down about 50 CS to Lupa, who's just having the best time ever on this troll. Abyssal Scepter now done for Mlxg as his second item. Very aggressive.
Also going to help out xiaohu in these mid-game team fights as Dragon is now back and available. Should RNG want to pull the trigger on a free objective, again, they're in control. They're in the lead, about 6K now. So even though it's just a Cloud Dragon, it's more so an arena for them to continue to snowball.
Yeah, and I also feel like Cloud Dragons get more and more impactful the more of them you get. So getting a second means you've got 30 extra movement speed outside of combat, which is actually quite a decent amount.
I do agree that it's a good amount, but that's generally true of most dragons.
That's
in
a good
terms
point.
that the more you have.
If we were looking at any of the other ones, it's, yeah, okay, fair enough. I feel like I've got a soft spot for Cloud Drakes, because everyone seems to be talking them down.
The cool thing is kind of the adaptation that if you get 3 Cloud Drakes and how you can adjust your build.
And you look cool.
To move away from Swifties into...
Whoa.
There we go, we got a good one.
Yeah, we
Infernal
do.
Drake coming up. Note if you have like 3 Cloud Drakes and you move away from Swifties into itemizing any other boot with any sort of combat stat on it at all.
Yeah.
Or even Ionian. I think that there's a lot of gold value to be said there simply because boots are one of the most gold efficient items that you can have in your slot.
It's a good point. See whether RNG are able to utilize it, of course. But with that Infernal Drake coming up, they're probably going to be much more excited to pick that one up. Has been argued as one of the more coveted.
Especially as Uzi goes double BF item.
Oh, God,
as third item.
That is very, very scary. Looking to possibly pick up the Infinity Edge or something like
I'm actually going to assume a BT. Again,
yeah, it's the Uzi way, right?
Yeah, the standard is usually Essence Reaver into double attack speed, specifically the Rapid Fire Cannon, just because of how it'll work with the W, having that longer range for Lucian, and works nicely with this combo.
Well, Eimy's going to get cocooned. Takes a lot of damage there as Mata throws in his Cosmic Binding at the same time. True Shot Barrage sort of sailed by, but didn't do too much. There's now multiple members of RNG just waiting here in this brush.
It was more of a scouting tool. We're seeing a lot more AD carries utilizing True Shot Barrage for its vision tactics, which, I mean, it sounds like such a small thing, but again, the reason why Ezreal is so potent on 6.10 is because utility's moving over into the AD carry role. So a trap has been laid.
It most certainly has.
Ezreal, itemize utility. Please no PYL.
Okay, well, looking for the snare, but the cocoon does come in.
Vision has been nerfed slightly due to the adjustments to trinkets, which means that the True Shot Barrage giving vision is actually just slightly buffed.
Yeah. As POL going to miss one of the wards, but gets the other one inside the pit, and RNG do have to move away from this Baron. Uzi actually taking a lot of damage and moving the wrong direction here as the culling does come out. Not in range of the explosive cast, but punished with a massive play. The Chaos Storm not going to be quite enough. I liked the idea, but unfortunately just got destroyed for it as MaRin and Lupa are going to smack on in the mid lane.
And this is LGD. They have the right idea, but the execution's a problem. It's now PYL.
Yeah, so much trouble. The Ignite's sticking down Mata, who's going to be able to pick up the kill. Tempered Fate saves his life as well as stopping Mlxg from being able to do too much more. Imp is able to solidify the kill in the end as Uzi looking for him, but he's not going to be able to continue this fight. Once again, Mlxg throws out the Q. Imp is so low. And Lupa not quite able to close distance, but he's happy to kill whoever's in front of him, honestly. There are such low health bars here, but doesn't have flash. Can't close the gap.
And again, it's executional errors on the side of LGD. Just slight ones, like the cask being used on a Tempered Fate target.
Yeah.
Not getting that burst damage is pretty much the difference between victory and defeat for LGD a majority of their games. TP now being expended.
It is going to come in as somehow Mlxg top damage for his team in that last team fight. Looking very good. As MaRin didn't want to give up his blue buff and is going to save it successfully. Now Punished looking to come and pick that one up.
His first blue of the game.
Yeah, he's going to be very happy. Imp was able to get a lot of work done in that last fight, though, so we'll see whether he's going to be able to continue this power.
This is something that strictly buffed RNG coming into the patch. So we talked about, the reason why they're kind of the team in the LPL right now is because they're fairly meta resistant, that they play any type of champion. They're incredibly flexible in their style. It's this idea that they don't just need to do one thing to win, they can do multiple things.
Yeah.
But the fact that the big mid-season changes made blue buff and red buff stronger respectively, or at least more wanted, just because of like the 15% AP and things like that. Like RNG have always contested those buffs. And obviously the mid-season changes made those buffs better to contest, like trying to give incentive for teams to do it, and they were just doing it naturally.
Yeah, so more opportunities to fight, basically.
That's what they like to do.
Damn right. Well, you can see Uzi moving up to try and pick up this creep wave towards the top side. He's going to do so very, very easily. That red buff that he newly acquired towards the bottom side of the map. Ryze's Crystal Scepter was picked up, actually, from xiaohu as he's looking to make a play, but nice flash. Gets him out of the way of the cocoon.
RNG are probably the quintessential Chinese team right now.
Yeah.
Love to tower dive, love to fight. 3v3, 5v5, doesn't matter. Their 5v5 isn't as clean as someone like EDG's yet. Although we'll see if maybe they can refine and tighten that up as they continue to be a dominant force.
Yeah, most certainly, especially now that still getting used to having Uzi on the roster, but you can see even this game just looking so, so strong. Have to say they've only looked better and better since that acquisition. Actually looks like he is going towards the Infinity Edge as well, so has a lot of confidence as Lupa takes a Time Winder from MaRin. He's just going to wander himself away. Iceborne Gauntlet now completed from the Trundle.
RNG have a minute before this dragon spawn where they can play on this side of the map. I think this is a bit risky.
A little bit risque. Is there a double pink wards actually here in this brush as Mata has to flash out of the way of the Chaos Storm, throws out the Tempered Fate, doesn't find anyone here as LGD may have found an opportunity to make something happen. Mlxg is going to be able to lock down the Baron as Uzi flanking from the outside, trying to take down a lot of this vision. But they are able to get themselves to safety.
That was a massive play by Looper. So great job for RNG to pull the trigger on such a ballsy play like that. But it was actually Looper's pillar that locked out Eimy. Eimy was there in time. He was about to be in the pit, and we could have had a 50-50 smite battle. The pillar came out. It blocked Gragas from entering the pit, and he just had to throw a blind cask.
That's a disaster. And as well, I mean, all of that extra gold, Uzi just went back, got himself the Infinity Edge. So it's probably one of the most powerful 27-minute Lucians you'll ever see as Mlxg looking to try and take down Eimy. Lands the cocoon. There's the Emperor's Divide, and Eimy is so dead. Mata says, yeah, I'll take that kill. You ain't going to get it, xiaohu. Stick on 0. He's going to be able to lock that one down. Uzi by himself going to be taking down this Infernal Drake, and you can see he does a fair bit of damage.
And then they can very easily rotate to the bottom side, which Looper has so kindly set up before he starts walking to make sure that MaRin can't contest inner tower top.
Again, one of those cooking show moments. Here's one I prepared earlier.
That's a delicious meal that he just
Damn
pulled
right
out.
It is. I just love watching Uzi farm. I could do it all day.
288 CS. He is above perfect right now.
He is. xiaohu as well. I mean, he's sitting ahead of the clock, as is Lupa. I don't know where they're getting all this farm from. Didn't know Summoner's Rift spat out that many minions.
The thing is this used to be what LGD were known for, the fact that they could allocate resources so well, but Parallel Convergence doesn't connect.
Yeah, wants to find the stun, does get himself a shield as Punish takes a few auto attacks as Mlxg right in his face, uses the repel, gets himself up, but it's a beautiful Tempered Fate as Uzi. Actually, MaRin right on top of him, has to use the Chrono Break early, not going to be able to finish off the kill as Imp now trying to kite to the side, in a turret, in trouble as Lupa teleported in. Imp in trouble, the flash as Lupa's looking for it, but doesn't get it. Base gate there just in time as now RNG not going to enter the base. They're just going to take down the turrets that they can find. Baron buff still, of course, here rotating the players.
Disaster for LGD as Punish steps forward and is immediately picked off by what is effectively an excellent pick composition in Bard and Elise from RNG, and it immediately translates into the mid inhibitor.
And it was looking actually okay as far as that sort of play was concerned on the side of LGD, but the Tempered Fate just broke up the aggro, allowed RNG to single out the members of LGD, and they just weren't able to find anything.
And unfortunately, there's no follow-up for MaRin. Consistently, he's getting to these back lines, finding these high-priority targets. In that last fight, he did manage to reach back into Uzi. But because Punished is already dead, because Imp is so well zoned off by Looper, there's just nothing anyone can do to take down these primary carries. And even if you do manage to kill Uzi, you're still then dealing with the likes of Azir.
Oh, Imp in a lot of trouble. Does manage to Arcane Shift his way over the wall, but PYL may have used too many of his cooldowns. Uzi now actually fighting MaRin here in the jungle. Flashes over the wall as Imp. What the heck was that interaction with the pillar? It was hilarious. Worked out pretty well. Tempered Fate not actually going to find MaRin here, but the ultimate comes out from xiaohu. He's able to close distance. Uzi somehow still alive. Remember, he doesn't have any lifesteal to speak of, as the super creeps are now knocking on the front door.
And absurdly, LGD is just picked off one after the other, 3 members caught out. And this is something that RNG excel at, is their ability to collapse into skirmish.
And it's the Uzi syndrome once again. We saw it when he was on OMG. We saw it when he was on Starhorn Royal Club all that time ago. And when he was on QG. Everyone wants to kill Uzi. It's not that easy.
It's almost like he's very good at kiting backwards.
Yeah, almost.
Something that Uzi actually hasn't really been known for, though, is his ability to 5v5. So his target selection is probably the best of any AD carry that has ever played in the LPL. No one has better target selection than Uzi. Uzi's actual self-peel, protecting himself in a 5v5, actually not that great. He'll consistently put himself in these positions where he'll dash forward or he'll expend his escape ability and then get collapsed on by 5 people. Obviously in this game, looking a lot better, although he does have a massive gold lead to help kind of compensate for it.
He's got a full Lord Dominic's regard. He's only got 1 item slot left.
But this does help for RNG, because again, in a skirmish situation, Uzi's a god. RNG love to skirmish. If RNG can help kind of bridge their 5v5 and get Uzi up to like Def's 5v5 level, they're unstoppable.
Certainly looks like that way now. Here is RNG looking to tighten the screws into LGD. Looper may have actually been caught out of position here as he is going to get stunned by the gravity field. Thankfully, the turret's going to help out LGD. There's now MaRin in trouble on the other side. Uses his ultimate but goes the wrong direction as the slow's coming out from xiaohu and his Ryze Crystal Scepter. Will be able to tag him one more time and Uzi's going to pick it up with the culling. So top lane is traded. Both of them have the teleports available, but the base has been broken open here towards the top side, and the inhibitors, of course, already dead in the mid lane.
LGD are just getting suffocated right now. RNG, complete control again. That's closing on to a 20k gold deficit in favor for RNG.
Yeah, currently 16,000 gold is going to be the lead for our Split 1 champions. RNG looking fantastic here at the beginning of this game. Beginning of this series, sorry. Second inhibitor is going to fall, so 1 more still remaining. Dragon going to be up in a minute 20, as well as the Baron, actually. Very, very close timings there.
These are your former Summer Split champions and your former Spring Split champions battling, and look at the difference between these teams.
Yeah, just ridiculous. But still, it's a best of 3, as Matza actually going to get immediately body slammed here from Eimy. Flashes himself out as Tempered Fate is going to find 2. The rest of RNG are going to pile in on this one, but it's a nice Chaos Storm as him's taking so much damage. xiaohu just slices him up with his Sand Soldiers. Punished as well. He's going to get tagged, but they're not going to lose too many more. I don't know how RNG managed to turn that into a winning situation.
Again, you think that Mata's completely caught, that he's going to be deleted. Yes, there's a massive gold lead, but RNG consistently pull out these miracle plays.
Yeah, once again, Uzi maybe a little bit overly optimistic that time around, as it's a nice stun to come out. MaRin takes a lot of damage, is punished as well, has to go back to the fountain, but thankfully it's very, very close at this stage. Don't think RNG are going to be able to win the game just yet.
Again, if there's any proof of the strides that China has made to try to correct 2015 Worlds, it is the difference between the summer LPL title winners and the spring LPL title winners.
And Uzi now has a 111 CS lead at the moment. And look, xiaohu now finally coming into his own, seeing the damage from that last fight. Of course, able to completely pulverize his targets.
That is just Azir.
Yeah.
Something that xiaohu does very well in his Azir is, again, he's kind of like Uzi. He's really good at, like, scrappy team fights. 5v5, not so much. A little bit more hit and miss. But if you see, like, all of his catching Emperor Divides and, like, collapses or picking out 2 members, brilliant.
Looks very, very good, of course. The reason why he does so much damage is he does have that Void Staff completed, able to cut through the Spirit Visages. That Baron went down like it was a blue buff. Secured by Mlxg very nicely, as Imp's going to get sped up by the Karma, but at the moment, LGD just look like they're circling the drain. It's an 18,000 gold lead. RNG are going to take another Infernal Drake because, honestly, why not at this stage?
Fairly lucky there. So, really going to be the big benefactor to Uzi, who's sitting on triple BF sword, that is now about to get 16% scaling to those stats.
It's just going to be a lot of damage. There's 470 AP already done here for xiaohu without a death cap or anything like that. Now looking to finish off the Abyssal Scepter by the looks.
Uzi has 446 AD.
Yeah, that's Ardent. Was that just a... That was a crit for 1,100 damage. That caster creep is so dead, Proskeren.
Oh, not as dead as MaRin.
Yeah, MaRin is pretty dead, but is able to get himself out with the ultimate, so that is definitely good news. tower doing some work here under these creeps, but Baron buff is certainly going to help out, and xiaohu is going to make it very, very easy to take down the last remaining inhibitor turret. The rest of LGD a little bit slack trying to find their way over as Eimy not going to be able to find Uzi. Flashes, just destroys him. Tempered Fate comes down. LGD not able to respond as Imp. Oh my god, xiaohu, that damage. Launches himself forward. They're trying to take down Imp. Not enough cooldown reduction on that arcane shift. And the towers are going to fall down. RNG had something to prove this game. And look at Uzi's face. A man that we'd never really see smiling since he's been sitting on this desk with RNG. Certainly has been. And towards the end of his time in QG. But the RNG squad are on a tear. And they look very happy about it.
And I just want to point out that in that last fight, Uzi flashed forward to dodge the cask. He took 0 damage from Eimy and then just deleted him from the game. And again, it's this mechanical 1% micro performance that you only get from the likes of Imp and Uzi, and the reason Uzi is smiling is because he just put Imp in the bin.
Yeah, I don't think there's any other way of saying it, honestly. I mean,